You know what these are?
Car keys?
No, these right here. These are the keys to Arizona State moving to 4-0. Happy Wednesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for more details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by the one, the only hall monitor himself. That is Erik Ruby. We have Captain Redbeard steering the ship, making all the magic happen. Guys, do us a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Jam-packed show today, talking about the Kansas Jayhawk offense going up against that Arizona State defense. But I have a bone to pick right now with Captain Redbeard. Captain Redbeard just cueing the Lost music out of nowhere. What are we doing?
That is crazy.
What are we doing?
The ad music.
Was it the ad music?
Yeah, I wouldn't be that crazy.
It felt like a loss there.
Felt disrespectful.
It felt disrespectful. I didn't know, kind of where to go from there, to be completely honest.
Well, there's only one place to go.
Up. Yeah, up. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Emily in the chat, BC in the chat. What is up, guys? Like I said, a lot to get into. If you missed yesterday's show, we talked about the opposite. We talked about Arizona State's offense going up against that athletic, talented group in the secondary for the Kansas Jayhawks. Today, we are absolutely flipping the script. Before we get into formations, the freak zone, and all the fun, Erik, I want to focus in on two players specifically on that Kansas offense. That is Jalon Daniels, and then, of course, Devin Neal, one of the premier running backs in a Big 12 conference that is absolutely loaded with talent.
Is there any team in the Big 12 that doesn't have a premier running back?
Cincinnati and Houston?
Arizona,
yeah, I would say there's a handful.
There's a couple.
But there are more schools that have a talented top 25 running back than schools that don't. And Devin Neal is not only one of them, but is kind of a three-headed monster in that backfield with Jalon Daniels. They like to get really, really creative. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I think this is the first time that Arizona State is going to see a true dual-threat quarterback in Jalon Daniels. And then, obviously, you've got Devin Neal at tailback.
Dual threat is in he throws to both teams?
He does do that. He does indeed turn it over.
Yeah, Wyoming didn't have that. Mississippi State didn't have that. McLeod?
I don't know if I consider him a dual threat. He was athletic.
He's athletic. He would run, but he was a lot more just in the air passing game. And then, no. So, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And then was tech.
It was tech, not a dual threat. So, sure, yeah.
Sure,
first dual threat,
why not?
First dual threat that they're facing.
A dual threat quarterback that up to this point in the season hasn't necessarily, really blown anyone away with what he's been able to do on the ground. Although you can't be a box score cherry picker.
Why not?
Because Jalon Daniels will make you pay. He will make you pay if you just look at the fact that he's only rushed for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground this season. If you turn on the film, this guy is an athletic quarterback that can really do it all. He can create some mismatches for linebackers. This is a team in Kansas that's not afraid to run some RPO game, some read options, and you got to stay home. They're going to try and keep you honest. And there's a reason, Erik, why this offense in Kansas is a top 3 rushing attack in this conference.
Yeah, he has the ability to, although if you do look at some of his rushing per season, and injuries can, of course, play a part in all of this, he's only really had one season where he's been super effective on the ground. That is Jalon Daniels with 419 yards on 77 carries back in 2022. So far this year, he's already at 117 yards on 32 carries. That's more than any other season in his career so far, the 117 yards. And he's ripped off his second longest run ever at 33 yards so far this year. So he's definitely somebody you have to keep an eye on, especially because his passing game is not where he needs it to be. He might start relying more on his legs. That might be an adjustment that Kansas makes. And that makes all eyes go right to the defensive line, especially because this defensive line is a lot healthier than the version that we saw against Texas Tech.
Most definitely.
So when you have, of course, a Devin Neal, which we'll get into, but if we're speaking just about Jalon Daniels right now, if your secondary is able to shut him down or force turnovers, he's probably going to resort to his legs, and he's already having his second most successful rushing season of his career, and you're only a couple of games into the season. So it's not something that you look at him and you go, wow, he's insane, but he, 3.7 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 117 yards on 32 carries so far just this season. It's a weapon. Yeah. It's a weapon for sure.
It's not only a weapon, but it's something that Kansas likes to utilize to slow down the football game. Mm-hmm. Right. This is a team in Kansas that Kenny talked about on Monday. They are totally content playing the time of possession game, just running, milking the clock, shortening the game. And then overall, if it gets down to the last possession, then they're fine playing that type of football. Mm-hmm. But again, this is a team in Kansas that you haven't necessarily seen do that in terms of allowing Jalon Daniels to run the football maybe as much as people would have thought, simply because this is a team in Kansas that does play from behind from time to time. Mm-hmm. And I think that is really one of the ways that Arizona State can come out on top in this one. Again, on the thumbnail, there are 3 keys to this game. Let's go ahead. Let's get into those. Now, I purposefully didn't put too much information in the keys. Okay,
so I kind of want to see. Very cryptic.
I want to see if you in the chat can kind of guess what these keys kind of stand for.
Oh, geez, I'm going to be put on the spot.
You are 100% going to be put on the spot. I'm going to put Captain Redbeard on the spot here as well. Let's go ahead and let's go with SD4. SD4 is on one of those keys. Does anybody have a guess as to what that means?
Does SD stand for Sun Devil or no?
Nope, does not.
Okay.
Does not. Captain Redbeard, you got any ideas?
I'm lost.
You're lost?
Yeah.
Well, you're the captain, so you got to steer us in the right direction here.
Stay down on 4. I don't know.
Well, who's number 4?
Scott.
No. We're talking about Kansas's offense, my guy.
Oh, Devin Neal.
It's Devin Neal. SD, slow down 4.
Okay.
You got to slow down number 4 for Kansas, and you're going to do that with something that we talk about, it seems like every week, because Arizona State has gone up against some really talented running backs. I am not afraid of Kansas's air attack. I'm just not. Like, I'm sorry. The disrespect, I don't care. You can slow them down by cheating run here. You cheat run. Yes, they're going to run their 4-2-5. I like stacking the box, bringing in the nickel corner a little bit tighter into the formation defensively, and gambling on the run. Owning first and second down, I think, is going to be huge, trying to get Kansas in those 3rd and 7 and longer situations so that if you're Arizona State, you can play pass and you could play down and distance on 3rd down, as opposed to a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 4, where you do have to kind of play both. You got to get Devin Neal out of the 3rd down situations.
And I know that you would focus on the defensive line in this situation for slowing down Devin Neal, but you have to be able to trust your secondary to contain any sort of passing game so that you can send more to kind of try and stop Neal, considering he's going to be the focal point on offense. And of course, if he gets going, then you're playing this game of like, do we send more? Do we open up the passing game a little bit? But if you're able to slow him down and get Kansas out of their offense, and especially on the road for Kansas, in what should be a very loud environment for ASU this weekend, that's a very big deal, especially because they haven't had a reliable passing game. If you slow down Devin Neal and they have to rely on throwing the ball, you can win this game relatively easily. Now, I'm not going to go out there and say it's just going to be a shoo-in, and I understand when you look at the record, you might think ASU should walk away with a 40-point victory, but this is a Kansas team that's been in a lot of these games too, and so you don't want to underestimate them, and you don't want to, think, oh, well, Devin Neal can get his, but they don't have enough passing attack to figure it out. No, it all opens up if, 1 or 2 quarters in, Neal's running for 7-8 yards a carry, like,
problem.
That'd be a big problem.
That's not only a problem early in the game if you allow this game to be close, but you get to the 3rd, 4th quarter. And this is a game where those running backs, again, in the Big 12, you get to the 4th quarter, they just wear you down. Obviously, Cam Scatterboot is a great example, but Texas Tech, in Arizona State's one loss this season, was kind of able to make Cam Scadaboo non-existent in the ground game because they were up so much so early. That's a way that you win this football game, is you jump out to an early lead, similar to Arizona State doing it against Wyoming, Mississippi State, and you make that opposing offense one-dimensional. Kansas stays in a lot of these football games because they're able to keep it close and allow Devin Neal to still be a part of this football game. There's a reason that Kansas has a top 15 ground attack in the nation. In the nation, in between Alabama and Ohio State.
Well, and I think another, I know we're talking about ASU's defense versus offense, but if you're talking strictly about, hey, ASU can't fall behind this game, and honestly, starting strong and not falling behind is probably going to be a key for ASU in every single one of these games, because on their offensive side of things, they don't have the most reliable air attack to move down the field quickly in order to make up time.
Yeah.
Like, reliably, if you said, what's our best bet to pick up a first down in 3 plays?
You're running the football.
It's give the ball to Cam Scadaboo in your running back room, right? But if you're down and the other team in Kansas has a good running attack, or as we've mentioned, 90% of the teams in the Big 12 have a good running back. So if you're down to a team like that whose go-to is, hey, give the ball to RJ Harvey, give the ball to Devin Neal, give the ball to Taj Brooks, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because I like Sam Leavitt and he'll continue to get better. And I have full faith in him to be quarterback. But I'm not at the point where I'm like, he can march down the field in a way that A, saves time, and B, is efficient in moving the ball in a passing game. I think he has the ability to do it, but does he have the consistency? I don't. So when you turn around to defense and talk about that, you can't let them get comfortable in the run game, and you can't let them get ahead in this. Because if they are, Devin Neal is going to see the rock a lot.
Yeah, he's going to be a problem.
And that's going to be successful even if you have a good defensive line performance.
So let's say Arizona State, they jump out to a big lead early.
That'd be nice.
Takes out Devin Neal in some crucial spots of the game. That's where we get to the second key. In the second key, pretty easy. Just P6. P6. Does anyone want to guess?
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Pick 6 and pick number 6, Jalon Daniels.
Close.
Well, Jalon Daniels
Really
has already thrown 8 picks.
He's thrown a lot of picks. That is close, though. It does have to do with Jalon Daniels. It's pressure. Pressure Jalon Daniels. As we'll get to in some of the film that we'll break down a little bit later on in the show, you have to get him off schedule. You have to get him off rhythm. This is a guy that, yes, he's athletic, but he almost trusts his athleticism too much, thinking that he can make plays off platform that he just can't yet. He can't yet, or isn't capable of to this point. And there's plays that we've got that kind of back that up. If you're able to get him moving, yes, I know he's athletic, but if you're able to get him off balance with a healthy Prince Dorba, with a quick hitter in Clayton Smith, specifically what I want to see is I want to see the interior of that defensive line really dominate up front against the Jayhawk guards and center. We're talking Zach Swanson, Jacob Kongaika back in the lineup, Jeff Clark, and CJ Fight. Those 4 up front need to really push the pocket upwards, allowing Dorba, allowing Smith to kind of stay home in their rush lanes. And Jalon Daniels will kind of come to them.
Jalon Daniels is somebody that going into this season, we were like, he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12.
He can be.
And while so far this season he hasn't shown that, you don't want to be the get-right game for Jalon Daniels. And while he can use his legs, and while he's probably pretty comfortable doing that, the one thing you can't let him do is get comfortable in a passing game.
Agreed.
I'd much rather see Jalon Daniels run the ball than Devin Neal run the ball, and I'd much rather see Jalon Daniels find success in his run game than in his passing game.
Yeah.
Because if he finds success in the passing game, then you are really in a pick your poison type situation with Devin Neal. And then, of course, you're the passing offense as well.
Yeah.
You don't want to let Jalon Daniels get comfortable. And like you mentioned, that interior, because you want to give the exterior, the Prince Dorbas of the world, more of room just to operate in and to feel comfortable in and be able to get to the quarterback. And once that interior collapses and Jalon Daniels is rolling out, Dorba's got his guy beat. Take him down. That's why, to me, while the interior is important, I'm still looking at the outside linebackers and everything a little bit more, just because when Jalon Daniels is running and when he uses his legs, it's going to be on them to catch him, to tackle him. You can't miss a tackle in this game. You shouldn't miss a tackle really in any game. It's going to happen. But with Jalon Daniels, he could pick up one run and it can go for 30 yards.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing with Devin Neal. If you're, not taking him down the first time that you make contact with him, that's a tough scene for you.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is a problem. And again, if you're able to The entire benefit of being able to push the pocket from the interior outwards is that you don't allow a quarterback to step into the pocket and make a throw, right? You get times, and you see it all the time in college football and the NFL, where you have really dominant edge rushers and they're able to get a beat, they're able to get a jump on the tackle. But that allows a really good quarterback to step up. Yes, they'll probably take a shot inside that pocket, but they'll heave it, they'll connect, and they'll do what they do. When you push the pocket from the interior outwards, you don't allow that lane. You don't allow a quarterback to step into the throw. And when you have a guy like a Prince Dorba, who we think is a premier edge rusher, then it makes it much, much more challenging to try and make those throws. So it really is going to be a test, I think, for those guys on the interior of that defensive line.
They should. It's a test, but they should pass it.
Yeah.
This isn't a test in the sense of like, we don't have faith in you to go out and do that. They should be able to contain Jalon Daniels.
They should be.
With the way that this defense is played when they're healthy, and now adding Prince Dorba in that with how they were playing before he got there, they should be able to at least dominate. Might be a stretch, but they should be able to control this matchup.
That's
they
all
should
you
be
need
able
to
to put that pressure and make them uncomfortable.
That is all you need to do. And look, we do have one more key and a lot of PHNX Sun Devil show to go. So we're going to get to that final key, but we are going to do it on the tail end of this break. It is time to tell you guys about our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. One thing you always got to remember when we're talking about Gila River Resorts and Casinos is that nobody does it better. They haven't just set a high bar. They have taken the ceiling down. They have set the highest bar in the valley. You can visit any one of their 4 locations. I know our personal favorite is Wild Horse Pass. It's because we've been out there a ton for cards, Suns watch parties, our fantasy football draft. So definitely be on the lookout for more of those. But maybe you want to go just for a staycation, right? The weather, crossing our fingers, is hopefully going to start to get a little bit better. And there isn't a better place to enjoy a staycation than Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You can win some money, guys. Go all in with over 4,500 slots and live table games, or catch all the action at any of their sports books. Again, we're going to be hosting events there all year, including Suns and Cards watch parties. So definitely stay tuned for info on how you guys can come hang with us. Remember, you do you at Gila River Resorts Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
I think I'm looking extra pale today.
Yeah, look at extra.
I'm looking at myself on the screen. I'm like, whoa. And that's a bright fella right there.
Paper pale, man.
I walk outside and you got to cover your eyes. And if you're going to cover your eyes, you're going to do it with Shady Rays, because an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. It can protect you from what it looks like when the sun bounces off of my skin. Listen, their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics, and they have the perfect choice for all your outdoor, or for us, indoor adventures. I always wear my Shady Rays. I'm wearing them right now. So are you, Totri. It's just because of the quality and because of how nice they feel and because they have a style for everybody, right? Plus, they have incredible protection. Whether you break it, whether you lose it, whether you just don't like it, they're going to take care of you. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
I love it. I love it. Now, let's go ahead. Let's get to that final key. That final key is going to be responsible for ensuring that wide receivers Luke Grimm and then Kansas's Lawrence Arnold aren't able to get going. The final key is B-Dub.
Brian Ward.
Okay,
Brian Ward.
We finally got one.
Come on.
We got one. Attaboy. Setting up that game plan, knowing that there are really 3 playmakers outside of Jalon Daniels on this Kansas offense. Devin Neal, Luke Grimm, and Lawrence Arnold. It's going to be up to Brian Ward to put together a game plan to really take those 3 out of the football game. Again, in the passing attack, we're talking Luke Grimm and Lawrence Arnold, because those 2 do a lot for this passing offense. Kansas doesn't have a wild passing attack, but when they do throw the football, Luke Grimm and Lawrence Arnold have been a problem for opposing defenses this season. More specifically, Luke Grimm, which we'll show a little bit later on in the show. You got to be able to take these 2 away from Jalon Daniels. They're his security blanket. And Erik, if you're able to do that, Jalon Daniels doesn't really have anywhere else to go in this offense.
My thing with Brian Ward, I don't want to see a reactionary game. I love that he's able to make adjustments and that this defense has been able to slow offensive down after they've gotten out to a lead.
Yeah.
I need to see that at the beginning of the game. I need to see you take somebody out of their comfort zone like it's Jalon Daniels, like a Devin Neal. And I need you to suffocate because 2 games in a row, you have been playing from behind because your defense has needed to adjust.
Correct.
And to their credit, they've adjusted. That's awesome. I love having a coach that can adjust. But I need to see them come out there and immediately dominate. I need to see them come out there and get out ahead, not play from behind, not let Jalon Daniels get comfortable, not let him pick and choose whatever he wants to do. No, your game plan should be able to take him out of the game and then, in theory, take Kansas out of the game. In theory. That's what we need to see from a Brian Ward defense because we haven't seen that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, and we saw a very different looking Arizona State defense against Wyoming. And against
Mississippi State, it was a little bit, it was like flipped, right? You go out and you dominate, and the Mississippi State kind of figure something out, and you bend and you don't break. I'm not saying I want them to figure something out, but I don't want to be playing from behind in this game. I'd much rather be holding off a thriving Kansas at the end than scrapping and clawing our way back to catch a Kansas that was already in rhythm.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. And look, it is really every coach that you hear talk about Arizona State's defense mentions Brian Ward as a top-tier defensive coordinator. I think he's a top-tier defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. I think he's getting a lot of his weapons back this week. I think you're going to see an Arizona State defense that's flying around. And I know there are a lot of Sun Devil fans that are coming off that loss to Tech, and they've reconsidered what they thought Arizona State was going to be after 3-0. But I think this unit gets back to what we saw in the first couple games of the season, but they are going to have themselves a little bit of a test. And we're going to show you this Kansas offense in just kind of what they do.
It's time?
It's sure. We can get into
Kyle! You are now entering Anthony Totri's Football Freak Zone. Had to fix it from last time and get it beforehand.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. We're not going to get too crazy, I promise. Okay, so this is Kansas already in the pistol. They're inside the red zone at the TCU 15-yard line. At this point in the game, I believe it is a tie ball game. This is a second down, and this is something that Kansas runs a whole lot of. They love the pistol where they have Devin Neal right behind Jalon Daniels. You can see they have an H-back on the left side, so this would be the top side of that offensive line, just offset of their left tackle. And they've got Luke Grimm coming in motion here. This is another thing that they love to do. They love getting guys in motion early and often in this game. And when you have guys in motion, not only does it give them a little bit of a head start, whether they're blocking, running a route, it also is very, very helpful to the quarterback and kind of identifying what coverage the opposing defense is in. So Luke Grimm is coming in motion. The TCU defense doesn't move with him. There's not a single individual that runs across this formation with Grimm. That tells Jalon Daniels that TCU is in zone. They are not in man coverage. So from there, we can go ahead and go to the next play. So this play action pass rolling from, let's see, Jalon Daniels is going to be rolling to his right here. Obviously, you could see a lot of that defense cheated. They cheated on the run on a second and 7 to Devin Neal, and they have that H-back coming across the formation as well. You could see Luke Grimm, who was in motion pre-snap. He is already on the, he's on the boundary on the bottom side of the screen. And a reminder, TCU is sitting in his zone here. Okay, so the linebackers, they cheated a little bit right. They are now dropping to their hook to curl zones here. So Jalon Daniels, we know he's athletic. He's moving, great at throwing on the run when he sets his feet. We can go ahead, move it one more step here. Look at this throw.
That's a crazy throw.
This throw is ridiculous. No feet on the ground right now.
He looks like a K.
Has literally completely hopped up in this throw. The linebacker or defensive end, wherever he was playing, not really anywhere near Jalon Daniels here. If Jalon would have thrown it to the check down, which was right at the line of scrimmage, that is a no gain. The wide receiver, I believe that was at the top of the screen, that went a little bit of a crossing route about the down and distance marker. There's not really a spot there. But look where this throw goes into zone coverage, into none other than Luke Grimm. It ends up being a touchdown. He's able to thread the needle. A great toe tap here from Luke Grimm. These are the types of athletic throws and plays that Kansas can make. You see that 1-4 record. You see that this is a team on the bottom half of the Big 12 when it comes to the aerial attack, and you don't necessarily think that they're out there making these types of plays through the air. Erik, this is a team that you can't sleep on because they can make these types of plays.
This is a team that we all thought was going to be good, and maybe they're not as good as we thought that they were. But I don't think they're as bad as their record says.
It's fair.
Again, you're looking at these scores as far as their 4 losses on the season. 23-17 to Illinois, who ended up being ranked at one point this season. 23-20 to UNLV, ranked. 32-28 to West Virginia, still a 4-point game. And then your biggest loss of the season is actually the game where they won the turnover battle, but 38-27, you lose to TCU, right? TCU is not great. West Virginia is not great. They're not bottom feeders, though.
Yeah.
And UNLV and Illinois are good football teams this year.
Facts.
So this is a team that you score 14 more points spread out over the last 4 weeks. You're probably 2-2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
And if this is a 2-2 Kansas team, we have a completely different perspective on them. If they scored 14 more points, if they turned the ball over one last time, and that play proved that on the move, on the run, Jalon Daniels can make plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are some games and some throws that he makes that you're just like, oh, yep, that's who we thought he was.
Yeah.
Before the season.
And you can make mistakes too, and you have to be able to take advantage of those mistakes, but you shouldn't just be relying on those happening, because who knows what week Kansas is just going to wake up, right? Like Arizona State, maybe, and they play Houston next. They could probably be Houston. Like one of these two could be a get-right game for them before playing Kansas State, Iowa State, BYU, back to back to back.
Yeah.
Right? This is a team that is better than 1-4. How much better? I'm not sure, but they are better. And that play, the other plays that you'll show in just a little bit, show that like there's not just, hey, this team has nothing going for it. They're not playing Lindenwood, okay? They're not playing Troy. All right?
Troy taking shots every
I'm never
day.
not going to say that at this point.
That's fair.
But I just don't want ASU fans to go in, look at the record, even look at Jalon Daniels' interceptions and think that there's just absolutely nothing that this team can do to ASU. There's absolutely a path for Kansas to win this game. Now, do they find that path? Do they walk down that path? I'm not sure. But it's there. Jalon Daniels making plays off the run, plays with his legs, Grimm catching the ball, Devin Neal putting up 100-something yards.
There's talent.
There's absolutely a way for Kansas to win this game, and I'm sure they're so mad. I'm sure they're so mad about everything going on with them.
Probably.
None of them like to wake up and see 1-4.
No, absolutely not. Nobody does. Like the team, the fan base, the coaches. And the thing is, like, they know they're close. They know they're close, and they desperately want this win before they get to the bye week. Right?
Yeah.
The same way Arizona State wanted that win going into that bye week. It's a totally different like mentality.
Kansas gets a win, gets a bye, then plays Houston.
Yeah, I mean
right? If they win these two games,
they know that,
and if they win these two games, they're 3-4. And again, like you're fighting for your life to somehow make a bowl game at this point for Kansas. Like you have dug yourself a massive hole. But if I told you before the season that Kansas doesn't make a bowl game, you'd laugh
crazy.
at me.
I would. I'd be like, what went wrong? So I would literally say, so Jalon Daniels got hurt again,
right? Yeah,
that's where you would go.
William in the chat says the shots at Troy are hilarious to me because of the multiple times they beat SEC teams on the road. It was LSU, right? It was like LSU's like homecoming game.
Maybe, I don't remember.
And Troy was paid like $million-something. I no disrespect to Troy. It's
always disrespect to Troy.
No. It's no disrespect to Troy. But I mean, you're gonna show us a Devin Neal touchdown play and maybe a play where ASU can show how they can take advantage of Jalon Daniels and I thought I said Jalon Daniels.
Wow. Don't worry, we'll get back into the freak zone in a bit.
Oh, we'll get back in the freak zone, but we'll do it right after this break. A win would taste so good on Saturday.
Dude, I'm juiced.
A win would taste so good. And speaking of juice and speaking of tasting good, Neutral Vodka Seltzer has arrived. And they're keeping it tasty in Tempe. Listen, Neutral tastes good. And I mean real real good.
Tastes
If you're
great.
asking me, what is neutral? I'll tell you, it's simple ingredients. It's vodka, it's seltzer, and it's real juice. Okay, the type of juice that Kenny Dillingham has. That's the type of juice that neutral vodka seltzers have. They're so light and they're refreshing. They'll show you really what a vodka seltzer should be. Because there are some other seltzers out there that you take a sip and you go, ugh. Yuck.
Facts. That's facts.
Or, this tastes artificial. I don't like none of that.
Is that what you say? You have a bad seltzer. You're like, this tastes artificial.
Ew, gross. That's what I say. No, nothing goes better with college football than neutral vodka seltzer. I am going to be drinking an orange neutral on Saturday's post-game show. So keep it tasty. Enjoy responsibly. 2024 Anheuser-Busch Neutrals flavored vodka and carbonation out of St. Louis, Missouri.
You know what else goes great with college football?
What?
Saving money.
Oh.
Saving money goes great with college football. It goes great with a Friday. It goes great with a Wednesday. And Circle K is helping you do it every day with their free membership program. That is right. I told you it is a free membership program called Inner Circle. And it is easy to download and sign up. And I am talking super easy. Okay. Enter your email and phone number to be fully enrolled. And then guess what, Eric?
What?
That's it. That's all you got to do.
Oh.
After that, all you need is your phone number to start getting deals. We're talking deals like saving 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and then every single day after that, and yes, I mean every single day, save 3 cents per gallon as well. Those savings really do start to add up. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
Quick check-in on Troy football.
Dear God.
They have one win on the season so far.
As many as Kansas.
They are 1-4, just like Kansas. They've lost to Nevada 28-26, Memphis 38-17, Iowa 38-21.
Go Hawks.
They beat Florida A&M 34-12. That was a get-right game. Then they lost to Louisiana Monroe 13-9. I've never needed to see a game more and less at the same time than Louisiana Monroe Troy 13-9.
Can I get an Eric Ruby freak zone for
on
that
Troy
game?
football?
On Troy and Louisiana Monroe.
Well, do you want to know who they play tomorrow? You just looked at my computer. So
No. I didn't look at your computer. And tomorrow's Thursday. They play
An
tomorrow.
old friend. A friend that we saw on
Eastern
a Thursday.
Michigan.
No, a friend that we saw on a Thursday very recently.
No, they don't play Texas State.
They played Texas State. Imagine if Troy beats Texas State after all that I've been saying.
No. That's not happening. That's not happening at all.
Well, tune in tomorrow. Sickos only. Troy, Texas State.
Watch along?
Take the line. I don't know what it is, but Troy's going to cover. I promise you
I
that.
don't know what it is. All right, you want to hop back into it?
Oh, we don't have to play it again.
Okay.
But let's get back into the freak zone.
Perfect. All right, guys. So we showed you a Jalon Daniels touchdown. Now we're going to show you the cream of the crop for the Kansas Jayhawks, and that is, of course, Devin Neal. You could see they are in somewhat of a jumbo set here because
they're ready to run the ball.
They've got a tight end on the upper left side of this formation. And this is an interesting formation. A traditional I formation, you would have the quarterback under center, you would have a fullback behind him a few yards, and then, of course, you would have a running back, in this case, Devin Neal. But like I said earlier, Kansas loves to be in the pistol. So this is a pistol I formation because you still have a lead blocker offset of Jalon Daniels. Now, again, look where Kansas is here on the field. They're at the 2-yard line of TCU. TCU, obviously a little bit of a loaded box here. They're leaving their man up on an island. That's not really a part of this play for Kansas. Just kind of spacing out these wide receivers. All it's doing is allowing less men in the box for TCU. But just strictly from a numbers standpoint, TCU has more in the box than Kansas does and should be able to stop this play for a loss. But because of what Kansas does up front, because of the movement in this formation, they are able to punch it in. So let's go ahead. Let's get to the next play. So Jalon Daniels sees that, does a little bit of a read option look. He could keep it if he wanted to. That H-back that was initially on the right side offset of Jalon Daniels, he comes across the formation, immediately becomes that lead blocker. Now, if you look from here, there isn't necessarily a giant push from that Kansas offensive line. However, the guard in the center do such a good job on the left side of this offensive line that they not only push the defensive tackles, the guard in this case is able to get to the second level and take a linebacker out, thus creating even numbers, which in this scenario allows Devin Neal kind of one-on-one, and we can go ahead, move to the next clip here. Devin Neal with a full head of steam, an offensive guard that's able to get from the first level to the second level. That's a Devin Neal touchdown 10 times out of 10. You're going to see a lot of this from Kansas. You don't see a whole lot of it in college football anymore where you have a traditional lead blocker in the backfield. Kansas loves to do that with the pistol eye formation. They love to do it with the pistol and then sending players in motion across the formation. You are going to see Devin Neal with a full head of steam a lot on Saturday.
You know, this tells me more so than Devin Neal, the biggest matchup, the biggest duel of the day, offensive versus defensive line.
Yeah.
If Kansas has their way with this ASU healthy defensive line, Devin Neal's going to have a day.
Yeah.
Especially if they're able
Kansas
to just...
offensive line is not bad.
No. I mean, you just saw it in that play right there. But you cannot let them keep you outside of the pocket. You cannot let Jalon Daniels be comfortable. You can't let Devin Neal get ahead of steam.
No.
You can't let him get downhill.
No.
Because,
absolutely not. It's a problem.
Because even with we have a good secondary. They're good players. But one thing that we have seen is that there are some moments where that secondary is going to miss some tackles and give up some big plays. I had like Miles Rouser. Who was that? I think it was Mississippi State, where he missed a crucial tackle. And it was like the 60-yard touchdown play that they had. And you can't give Devin Neal that type of space. And you don't want to have to rely on them to not miss tackles. You want to get him down in the backfield. And you only do that by dominating the line of scrimmage, collapsing that pocket, and making both Daniels and Neal very uncomfortable.
Well, a big part of this as well, right, in that touchdown clip from Devin Neal that we showed you, right, is what made that successful was the offensive line, specifically that left guard and center, being able to go from the first level, taking on linebackers in the second level. Mm-hmm. Now, part of that, the responsibility is on the defensive line to engage with the offensive line enough to ensure that it frees up those linebackers. For Arizona State, that is Cyrus Fiaseu, Keyshaun, Elliott, two of the best defensive players on this roster through the first 4 games of the season. Defensive line and linebackers, they have to work in tandem in these situations. And I know you said the trenches are going to be big. I think, yes, that's going to be big. I think it's also going to be big for the linebackers taking on those lead blockers that Kansas does like to run. That's going to be a huge part of Arizona State being able to blow up some of these plays. If a lead blocker is not able to really, hang their hat on their assignment the way that they're supposed to, then that does create problems for Kansas's backfield.
They need to work in tandem.
Yeah.
And I think they can. That's the great part about all of this, is I absolutely think that ASU has the talent, they have the firepower, they have the coaching to do all of the things that we're saying.
They do.
But I also felt that way against Tech.
Yeah.
So they got to prove it. They got to do it again. They have to put together a full, complete game. Yeah. Because when's the last time we saw a full, complete game from this defense?
Wyoming. Facts.
I'm shrugging at the camera for our audio listeners who I love.
That's fair.
You need to put together 4 consistent quarters. And this is a little bit of a different angle in all of it as well. But, Kevin in the chat says Texas State did lose to Sam Houston. The teams that ASU has played have not gone on to be the biggest world beaters. Mississippi State has looked not great. Wyoming has looked not great.
Yeah, they were hanging with Texas in the first quarter.
They were, but...
First quarter.
A couple other games, Mississippi State's absolutely dropped the ball. We thought Texas State was going to run the table for the rest of the season. They lose to Sam Houston, right? We'll see what Tech does. They play Arizona this week, but you're looking at some of these games, and I'm still excited. I still think this is a good team. I still think ASU will win this game, right? And I'm not by any means out or down or depressed about this season or this team, but you need to go out there and you need to put together 4 complete quarters, and you need to take control. You need to dominate this game. Drop Kansas to 1-5 and reestablish yourself as not just a lower end middling team in the Big 12, but somebody who's fighting for, that top 8, top 7, top 6 spot, and somebody who wants to and expects to make a bowl game.
Yeah.
You need to put together 4 consistent quarters.
You do.
Also, BC Troy is in Alabama. not in Louisiana.
There you go.
Just so you know.
There you go. Look, I think a big part of Arizona State doing what you're saying and dominating this game is going to be able to create turnovers and force turnovers from Kansas's offense. And we know that Kansas is kind of prone to that, turning over the football. And that kind of leads us to the last play that we do have here. And we talked about it. Jalon Daniels, 8 interceptions on the season, trying to make something out of nothing, or just thinking that he can make plays that he simply is not capable of at this point in his career. So again, if you're watching live, you could see Devin Neal, or at least a running back, I can't necessarily see the number on that, is offset to the right side of Jalon Daniels. Daniels in the gun here. They've got a little bunch formation on the bottom. And again, this is a situation where I believe Illinois is in man here, if I'm remembering this play correctly. So we can go ahead. We can move to the next clip here. Again, reminder, they're at like the 49-yard line of Illinois. There is not necessarily any reason to do anything absolutely wild on this play. Okay, so given what we have seen right now, the bunch formation that was initially you saw at the start of this clip, the top fullback, or I guess he was an H-back in this situation, he is locked in. He is currently blocking. You see an Illinois defensive back, I would say, or an outside linebacker. Again, I can't really see that number. He is kind of honed in on him. He is staying put in that formation, and then you have a linebacker running completely across the defensive formation, trying to chase the running back who is going across the formation straight to the flat. So in this scenario, Erik, I'm gonna pivot over to you here. If you're Jalon Daniels, with what you see right now, what do you do?
Honestly, I'm running right in between 61 and 52 and picking up a couple of yards at least.
Exactly.
Because 22 out on the edge there, or on the corner, is
he's turning in coverage.
He's turning around and he's running the opposite direction, and there is nobody between Jalon Daniels and that first down marker, or maybe more if you just split between your two offensive linemen. And
you're running. If you're an athletic quarterback, you see that?
What do you mean if? I am.
Okay. Well, you see this based off of the coverage and what everything's got, right? On the bottom of the screen, everybody is manned up here. Everybody is in man coverage, okay?
And you have 2 spying on the left side as well. So if you try to run that way, they're going to...
Yeah, you're not running left. You're checked down. If he catches it, right, if you make the right throw, he's got a few yards, unless he breaks a tackle. And even then, you still have defenders there kind of in that vicinity. So yes, I agree. Jalon Daniels in this moment should see the coverage. He should immediately tuck and run, take off. You're Jalon Daniels. You're more athletic than a defensive tackle. You're picking up a first down in this situation. That's not what he does. Let's go ahead. Let's show the next clip. He opts to roll all the way around, right? And now look, the guy in the flat completely covered. The H-back is on his butt, and there is nowhere to go.
Yeah, he's trapped. He's trapped.
You're not throwing to the man that was at the top of this formation. He's gone. Now, the biggest part of this play for me, and you see it a lot with Jalon Daniels, that first touchdown throw to Luke Grimm, a remarkable throw off balance. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, Jalon Daniels in this situation, completely off balance. Not able to step into the throw, not able to do anything that you would advise a quarterback to do. He opts to throw it like this, and this is what happens. He is not able to get enough air on the football where he's got a man kind of open in this scenario.
I'm about to say, if this ball is thrown a little stronger, that's a heck of a play. It's not, though.
It's not. And it ultimately gets intercepted. You're turning it over on Illinois' side of the field. It is just not, it's not it. It's not it. You're giving Illinois, a team like you said, would eventually go on to win this football game, be in the AP top 25, giving them an extra opportunity in this football game. So those are, again, you're going to see what Jalon Daniels you get. You're either getting the one that's able to make those crazy off-balance throws like we showed you in the first one, or you're going to get the one that makes decisions that, if you were a quarterback coach, you'd be absolutely furious with.
You could probably get both.
Yeah.
I don't think you're just going to exclusively get one. I'm sure Jalon Daniels will make an incredible play, and I'm sure he'll make a boneheaded decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably just kind of what happened. It's the Anthony Richardson effect, okay?
Either the greatest throw you've ever seen or the worst throw.
Or the worst throw you've ever seen. I love Sergio in our chat, a U of A fan, talking about it. There's no chance we win this game. And then he's like, what is this show? Why are y'all breaking down film like it's going to make a difference? I'm not surprised that Arizona fans don't understand the actual intricacies in breaking down football.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me.
Maybe you should tune in a little bit more often. We can catch you up on things.
Well, they don't do it on the Wildcat show. So it's, he's not familiar with it.
It happens.
He's not familiar with it.
So
but it's okay.
we're just breaking down the film, and we will talk about how important this game is, and the importance on both sides of it. We're just gonna do it in a second.
We are going to talk about the importance of this game for Arizona State, but like Erik said, we are going to take just a quick break. Now I'm going to get personal here. I spent a lot of time as a single man.
Okay.
Going out on a lot of first dates.
Okay.
In 2024, I'm not sure there is a better place as a single man looking for a place to go on a first date than Chicken and Pickle. Because Chicken and Pickle, it provides you guys with a perfect balance of an activity on the date, doing pickleball, any of the life-size games that they have there. They got like a life-size battleship. They got ping pong. Mm-hmm. It also gives you great options for food, gives you great options for drinks, and really just the atmosphere all together. And what really
you're close to other places too.
Exactly. What pulls it in? The prices.
Oh.
Guys, you can't beat the prices at Chicken and Pickle. I know there are a lot of single men that listen to this show and watch this show. I know there are, and that's okay. But
why'd you say it
when
like
you get that opportunity to take someone out, take them to Chicken and Pickle. It's a good time. Head to chickenandpickle.com. Again, that is chickenandpickle.com to see all the fun you can have at their Glendale location.
Sometimes you just want to go outdoors, though. Sometimes, maybe not a first date. Don't go out in the wilderness with somebody in the first date. But if you've been dating for a while, you want to go on the road and you want to bring a nice, cool drink or keep some of your groceries cold, go check out our friends over at Rugged Roads. Right?
That's smart.
Yeah, it is pretty smart. What else is smart? Having a cooler like Rugged Roads, who is not only lightweight design, durable, dependable, it's versatile, whether it's about outdoor activities, whether it's tailgating, whether you're just throwing a little kickback at your place. Also, it has floatability. Because if you're throwing a kickback and you want, hey, there's going to be a bunch of people in the pool, but we don't want to get out of the pool to get some drinks.
Absolutely
what are we,
not.
savages?
Absolutely not.
No. You get the cooler and you put it in the pool, it stays upright and it floats. And guess what? It's going to keep the contents in that cooler cold for up to a week, if not longer.
That's crazy.
You can literally tailgate from one game to another and keep the same drinks and the same ice in there, and it would stay cold. Use code PHNX 10% for 10% off your order. Lightweight, durable, always floating upright, perfect on land or in water. So leave that old heavy cooler at home. Get yourself a better cooler for the new season. Rugged Road, your ultimate outdoor companion.
You know what else is perfect on land and water?
What?
Captain Redbeard.
It's true.
Captain Redbeard. He's perfect on land and water. I love it. I love him.
Captain Redbeard's definitely the next first date he's going to Chicken and Pickle.
Yeah, where are you taking first date, Chicken and Pickle, man?
Where? That question did not make sense.
Not make sense. I'm losing it.
Where are you taking your first date to Chicken and Pickle, man? That's what. Those are the words that just came out of your mouth.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. 100%. That was not a sentence.
When is maybe the word you're looking for?
When are you taking a date to Chicken and Pickle, Senor Captain Redbeard?
Well, I was gonna say we'll take him out to the sea and then come back to land.
Word of advice to anybody out there: there's nothing against Redbeard. Don't go out to sea on the first date.
It's great.
Word of advice.
I don't know.
Don't go in the wilderness. Don't go in the sea.
Does the sea count as wilderness?
No, they're two separate things, and you shouldn't go to either.
The sea or wilderness, if you had to pick.
For a first date or just period?
Yeah.
Wilderness. Dude, the sea is scary.
You're not deep sea.
You didn't specify.
This is a great question. Kevin Whipple in the chat, out of both of you guys, who would be Chicken, who would be Pickle?
I would not be Pickle. I know that. I think you would be Pickle. And now we're both wearing green right now, but you're wearing more green.
Are you wearing green? Oh, your hat's green.
My hat and my shorts are green.
Mister, I don't want to go to the sea, but wearing a fish on your head. Come on, man.
Sorry, dude. Sorry, I'm such a hypocrite.
What would you say, Captain Redbeard? He's Chicken on Pickle?
I mean, yeah. Totri looks more pickly today.
Pickle boy!
I was curious where that was going.
Totri.
I was curious where that was going.
Sergio, same Wildcat fan in the chat, says, not going to lie, you guys are entertaining, though. That's why I tune in. You guys are so optimistic. I love it. Listen, We're just trying to have fun here, right? And there's reasons to be optimistic. 3-1.
Yeah, I'll take it.
3-1.
I'll take it 3-1. We didn't think we'd get to 3-1. I'll take that anytime we can, man.
We'll be
Anytime
there.
we can.
Appreciate you tuning in, Sergio. Make sure you hit that like button. We don't like U of A, but you're always welcome to come hang out with us whenever we do a live show.
In terms of importance for this game, right? Ironically enough, we're talking about 3-1. At the start of the week, I said this was kind of a must-win game for Arizona State. What would you say and categorize the importance of this game as?
How do you want me to categorize it? Like a number? Like, how do you want me to quantify the importance
out of
this
the
game?
next 3 games that Arizona State has? Would you say that this is the most important one that they have? And it's okay if you say no.
Yeah. No, I think it is. Simply because of the timing of it as well. If you flipped Cincinnati and Kansas, I would pick this game against Cincinnati as the most important. Because, yes, you are 3-1, but you're coming off your first loss, the only loss that you've had at Big 12 play so far. And like I mentioned, you haven't put together 4 complete quarters of football on both sides of the ball since week 1 against Wyoming.
Correct.
Right? You're playing Utah the week after that. This is an important game because A, Kansas needs this. B, you should win. And going 4-1 and 3-2 completely changes the perspective of the season. Because realistically, if you drop to 3-2, you're looking at 3-3. And then that Cincinnati game has a lot less importance to it because you're 3-3. But if you move to 4-1 and then 4-3, then that Cincinnati game has a lot of importance because you're getting that much closer to bowling. This game right here, because you go Kansas, Utah, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, UCF, Kansas State, BYU, Arizona. Out of all the teams
not a lot
left,
of easy games left.
right? Out of all the teams left this week against Kansas, BC saying the easiest opponent left.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think Cincinnati and Kansas are closer. Like I think there is a world by the end of the season, Kansas is regarded as a better football team because, again, their 4 losses have come by a combined 24, 25 points in all 4 losses. So this is a Kansas team that can change the perspective. Maybe they won't be good. I don't think they're going to be this bad. Cincinnati's been playing good football.
They have
especially
put up 41 the other week on Tech.
Especially relative to expectations.
Yeah.
Too. So this is your easiest game left. It's a home game. It's your first home game in a little bit of time and your first home game in the Big 12. This is a season-defining game.
Yeah.
These can be season-defining moments. If you squeak away with a win, that's good. If you dominate, you're back having the conversation that you had after the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. I think this is a really, really important game for Arizona State. Is it a must-win? I would say so, just based off of the fact that you are coming off a bye week. And this doesn't send a great message if you lose this game. It's not a must-win game in the sense of, hey, there are jobs that are on the line here.
Yeah, it's not hot seat city.
No, but this is a game where if you want to get to bowl eligible, right, like you and BC said in the chat, it starts with moving to 4-1 over a team in Kansas that you've played better than most of the season. Your 2 teams are trending in opposite directions. You got to continue. And what I don't want, and I don't think will happen, but what you can't afford to do is you can't afford to look past Kansas. You can't afford to look past Kansas onto Utah because Utah is a team that is coming off a bye week. Next week when you play them, you expect Cam Rising to play at that point, and you're not going to be favored in that game. If you drop Kansas, you're likely dropping Utah, and then you're staring down the barrel of 3-3. And like we said, there's not a ton of easy games left on this schedule. Cincinnati is playing better than people really on the national service are really looking at, I guess. So you got to win this one. And I think this would be a great confidence game coming off a bye week where you've been hanging on that Texas Tech L for a while. You get your first conference win in history in the Big 12. And then you can move on and be like, okay, you know what? Now we know we can play in this conference. You're showing the fan base, hey, keep coming out to these games. Arizona State, you win this game, you're still undefeated at home. That's big. That is absolutely big.
Yeah, if you say undefeated at home and you do it in dominant fashion, you move to 4-1, you pick up your first Big 12 win, and you just kind of say, hey, Tech is good. It was a hard-fought game. We adjusted. We got the bye week, and we moved on.
Yeah.
Again, you also played Tech very injured.
Yeah.
Very, very down, especially on the defensive end, which is where Tech can take advantage.
Yeah.
Right? And if Sam Leavitt comes out after a bye week and looks like he's cleaned up some things, doesn't turn the ball over, and you're able to force this Kansas offense into a couple of turnovers, win by double-digit points, win by 14, win by 20-something points. Again, ASU was in conversations nobody expected them to be at the beginning of the season already.
Yeah.
And it's tough because their first loss of the season comes on the road and then a bye week and then you play. So it's been this weird period of like uneasiness.
People moping around.
Yeah, of uneasiness because 3 wins and then you get a sour taste left in your mouth and then you have to sit on that for a week, right? They should beat Kansas.
They should beat Kansas.
But we said they should beat Texas Tech.
That is true.
So they need to go out there and they need to actually do it. They need to prove to themselves. They need to prove to the fans. They need to prove to the Big 12 that this was not just, hey, we played 3 teams that in retrospect were really, really bad teams, right? And it looked better because it was competitive in 2 of those games. But Wyoming, Mississippi State, and Texas State have not been anything to really admire since they played Arizona State.
No, it's fair.
Texas Tech has been good. You need to beat and you need to dominate Kansas, and then you need to go into Utah. The expectation isn't to win, but the expectation should be to compete.
Yeah, I would agree. And look, we've talked a lot about what Arizona State should do. We are going to talk about what you guys should do next, and that is go to gophnx.com, click the little Die Hard tab, and become a PHNX Die Hard. It is a community for the sickos of the sports world here in the Valley. Whether you are a Suns fan, a Cardinals fan, a hockey fan, Mercury fan, Diamondbacks fan, Rising fan, Arizona State fan, or Arizona fan, the list goes on and on, and there are a ton of perks to becoming a PHNX diehard. I know me and Erik's personal favorite is, of course, the diehard Discord,
of course,
where we are talking Sun Devil football and really just talking all day long.
College football, life stuff. It's a great place to be.
Oh, yeah. Sharon got a new cat.
Yeah.
That happened, I believe, over the weekend.
Also, don't sleep on getting the free merch.
That's facts.
Either, because there are some fire shirts. You get a free hat or a free t-shirt every year if you are a part of our diehard community, including we just dropped a new collection for the GOAT, Diana Taurasi,
the GOAT
might be retiring. Not sure yet, but go check that out. Plus, of course, we have ASU gear and everything as well.
It's a lot of fun. You're going to get all of that. You're going to get exclusive diehard only content. Me and Mike Luke, the host of the PHNX Wildcat Show, we do a Behind Enemy Lines audio episode every single week for everybody. But if you're a PHNX diehard, there is video to that as well, and you are getting that days in advance. So definitely, again, head to gophnx.com today. Sign up to become a PHNX diehard.
If you're looking for the most unique piece of clothing that you can have in your
gosh.
closet,
this really is the most unique piece of clothing that you will have.
Isn't it the worst when you wear something that somebody else is wearing?
Yeah, you might not have this issue.
If you get the PHNX Sun Devils officially licensed, mind you, Daniel and Gata t-shirt, okay? It's on sale for $13.
That's crazy.
In size medium and quadruple XL are sold out. But small, large, XL, double XL, triple XL, you can get an officially licensed Daniel and Gata PHNX Sun Devils t-shirt only at store.allcitynetwork.com.
I think we should end on that.
I think
we should end on that. Guys, do us a solid. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review. No show on Thursday.
Might buy this shirt.
Gonna be back in action on Friday. Predictions. We're gonna have a fact or cap segment and so much more. So definitely stay locked in for Friday's show. Give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils across social media. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the hall monitor here at Erik Rubio. There's Erik with a K.
Shirt.
It's a great shirt.
It's a pretty fire shirt.
And again, there are not a lot of people walking around with those out on a daily basis.
Be the life of the party. Wear the Daniel and Gata officially licensed t-shirt.
You can follow Captain Redbeard steering the ship at K Coop Sports. That was a good one.
Oh, I could have kept going.
I
could have kept going.
We will see you guys on Friday. But in the meantime, go Devils and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.